Hi. We're in focus?
Yeah, you're in focus. I could have focused right here.
So, finally opening up this guy. I've been looking forward to this. I feel really bad. The PunchMania that we have that we brought to a couple shows has fallen apart. So, we were very fortunate to get this one out of Japan and, finally be able to bring this stuff out again. Actually, my very first thing that I noticed, I just unwrapped this and I immediately got a whiff of cigarette smoke. Like, yeah, this is absolutely a Japanese cab, but yeah, like we can see here initially, there's some of these pads are torn up, so I'm probably going to be pulling parts off the other ones. I have a couple spares that a friend gave me from his. So a little bit of restoration, and this should be fine.
Oh, I can smell it from here.
Yeah, I'm going to flip this on real quick, and I'll go over a couple things. This will probably be a relatively short video, especially if everything kind of just works, which I half expect. It's a PunchMania. It could totally be awful, you know? These things, I don't think I've ever brought it up in other videos, but keeping these cabs serviced is an absolute nightmare. So first off, I would assume that's actually just like a default startup on the display there with the pixels, hopefully. The second thing to note is that there's an LCD in this. It was a mod, and it looks like it fell out a little bit, maybe.
Out of the frame?
It's not straight. You can see it's not straight.
It's hard to see on
Yeah, it's hard to see on the camera, but it's not straight. So I might do a better mod with this later, but I actually don't really mind that because dealing with a CRT in these cabs can be a pain in the ass. So what I might do actually is just pull out the original CRT from mine and put it in there. Okay, so right 3, probably this one. We've had to deal with this a lot. PunchMania it's very popular at shows, but it has always been an extreme amount of work to keep running for the entirety of the show, which was part of the reason why we stopped bringing out for a while, is that it requires just constant maintenance. You'll be working on it all con. So I do want to share it with people, but there's only so much you can do when it basically needs constant attention. And depending on how good or bad this is when we look at it, will depend on whether it goes to our January, February shows. So let's come down here, open it up, and this is something we had to deal with all the time. It's because of the motors and the position. So if the motor isn't strong enough for it to go the full range in and out, it'll throw an error. So you can go into test menu here, and actually we can just, if we just exit back out, I believe it's the bottom one, and it might have been because it hit this. So let's see if it errors again. No. So yeah, probably it just hit this and the motor didn't do the whole range. So that's good that all works. Specifically, the problem that I had with the cab we had was all the wiring in here was just completely chopped up, spliced, different connectors, no connectors, wire with tape wrapped around, just all sorts of mess. So it took me forever to get all that working. And then since this is constantly moving back and forth, it sometimes it would pull or catch or get stuck in something. So it always constantly had to be done. Now, I had a second cab that I was going to pull the wiring out of and try to get it, redo everything, put in new wiring for the whole thing, make a new harness if I had to. And then the cab started sagging on its own weight. So if you look at the sides, ours I think was a Korean cab. And so like the wood and stuff maybe wasn't as good, but the main center part of the cab, the sides, were basically sagging into the base. Like the base wasn't able to hold it up anymore. So these things, there's like 6 or some odd giant wheels under this, because this is a big, heavy cab. And the problem, I don't know what, it was already having trouble moving and whatnot, so I feel bad, but like it's probably going to get scrapped. I'm hoping that I can, clean everything out, rebuild the base, and at least, like move it to a final home or something, someone can take it. But it's not good enough. You can't bring that out to shows anymore. Anyway,
Does look
without
like
further,
that.
yeah, and that was probably because
The test screen, yeah.
The 2DX 10 segment display, this will sometimes do the same thing. Like it just reads whatever it reads initially from memory is what it'll display. So anyway, we're good to go on this. Let's fire it up. Now usually for me, I don't use these. You should, just as a protection thing. And generally, you know, for condors, we want them to be safe playing as well. But, so I'll show you what I do, actually. Normally, this is obvious, but rather than actually punch, I found the best. So, oh, that's right. There's timing as well. You can't just smack it. You want to hit it when
The lights come up.
Yeah. But I actually just use open palm like this. But it's actually kind of weird. I just realized, like, all this time, I've always had this in English. So I expect, like, the English voiceovers. You know, I might actually switch out the kit from the other one. So, like, for this part, but for any of those parts where you have to hit with a lot of targets, using your palm like this is actually is the fastest way to do that.
To hit all of them.
That's the way I do it. But man, do people go at this? Like they get really
Follow through into it.
And speaking of these kind of games, the next game we're doing is that. And that, let's talk about going at it. I don't even know. I wish I could do that with Danny here, because Danny would put on a show. So actually, I
Might save that one.
I don't know. We're still gonna do it because I want to bring it out, and I'm actually we may be selling that, but anyway, the game is really good, and actually, I'm actually very happy because there was I'm not even sure that I want to. Yeah, like as you can see, you don't have to hit it very hard. If you don't like time it right and whatnot. But the one thing that's like really catches me is that the motors actually work. I think for this video I'm not going to take it apart and look in it, but essentially there's a motor, a potentiometer, and a gear in there. And the gear is attached to, and actually, you know what, let's go into test menu. It's probably, without taking it apart, the best way to show it, because I do not feel, it's a fair amount. You got to get these sides off. Then I think there's a metal plate here, and then you can get under them. But anyway, let's go to IO check, and you'll see here you can, so just L plus start is motor test, so that brings them all out, and then back, and you can see the range that it goes up and down on that potentiometer. So the problems that I were having is you've got your motor here, that's what moves it. You've got the potentiometer attached to the bottom, and that's what senses its position. And you have the gear, and the gear is what the motor's attached to that makes this actually move. If you have that offset at all, like if the teeth are out, maybe the gear isn't catching it, and it's not actually, when you push the pad, it's not actually you know, pushing the gear on the inside. So as a result, the potentiometer doesn't work, or the potentiometer's bad, or if it's offset. There's lots of little things like that that make it a huge pain in the butt to work on. The other one is you can just play the game without paying attention to these whether these LEDs are on or not, but you know, you lose the timing. You do have to hit it when it's lit up. And I don't know if you noticed, like there was a lot.
It was saying bad when you weren't hitting it.
Bottom, but I'm hitting both, and only one, like, you know, they lit up in different orders or something like that, and I was just ignoring that. That's why I was getting a lot of bads, I think. But anyway, that's specifically the problems with there, is everything inside has to stay real tight and secure. You can't have any wear on it. You have to, you know, maintain those parts. And since the cab I had was so heavily worn, I think the first con that I brought it out to, actually no, this was even before I did cons. I had that cab at Anime Expo when I was doing it with a friend of mine, and I got the cab years later, but man, I was on that cab at least 3 hours, 4 hours total a day, just making sure it works. But yeah, this one, everything works on it. I'm comfortable bringing it out, and like I said, I'll bring my spare pads and probably replace these ones that are beat up. But other than that, pretty happy. The last thing, and this cab doesn't have it, on the inside here, I'll probably add this on my cab. It's just bare metal up against here. And when you knock this thing back, there's this big rubber stopper here that prevents it from like doing too much damage. And you can imagine, like, if you come in and hit this thing hard, like over and over and over again, like you have some people at cons, especially if you're thinking if this was an arcade, that's a lot of wear. So my cab, before this, someone had gone and taken like a nice thick foam piece and put it in there as extra padding when these come back. I might do that as well. Yeah, I think other than that, I can't really think of anything else to go over on this cab. I'm going to grab my screwdriver, and let's take a look on the inside and the back, though, just so we can get a little look. And the last thing, I will do my traditional check of the coin counter and see how much use this cab got. Okay, so the top part, this is the monitor. I think you know what? I'll open up and take a look at what they did inside for the monitor as well. I wasn't going to unwrap this too much because it's about to go to a show in a couple weeks. Since we do know it's working, I would like to bring it out. It's also nice, I haven't brought out a PunchMania since we've had a warehouse and a dock. It's definitely something that makes me uncomfortable having to use a liftgate all the time. Just because of its size, its unwieldiness. So here we got the inside the monitor. It looks like the original mounts. Oh yeah, that's right! Because it's a Japanese cab, it's actually quite different inside. So here's the LCD they put in. Yeah, it looks like it's actually intentionally bolted. Well, no, it's intentionally.
And they have some screws just
unless it's not. Let me see.
I think it's a little too big.
That might have been why they did that. No, it's supposed to go in. There we go. Yeah, it is supposed to be flat. Okay, so I might come in and do some extra reinforcement. Put in an extra bracket.
Yeah, I think we need to put a bracket behind this.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see how that looks from the front now. Because it's still not great. And since I do have the CRT out of my old cab, maybe
it might go back in there.
Maybe we'll put that back in. Anyway, who cares? I mean, it works. The monitor for this is already a 19-inch. It's really small, so it's probably fine. That, and I can do a better mod. If I measure it out, I can find. Well, 19 inch is also a good size to get for an LCD. Mm-hmm. You can still get a 4.3 LCD if you want to. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'll just remember to reinforce that before we move it. So I'm glad I checked though, because otherwise, I mean, it would have been fine. It doesn't look like it would fall out. But. Okay, and I'm going to open up this since. So the Korean cab has a shelf here on the inside, and the monitor mounts on that. Whereas it looks like this one, the monitor is mounted into the front. And then there isn't a shelf in the bottom for the PCB. The PCB actually mounts on the bottom of the cab. And I don't know, maybe I'll follow up this video with a look over the Korean cab just to give a little more of a look at it. But here's the inside, sorry, of this. So this was hooked on a Ken 1, right? This isn't 2? I didn't check. Let me check the title. I'm pretty sure it is. I think there's a separate marquee for PunchMania 2. Did we unplug it?
No, but the cable may have just gone loose.
Oh, no, it's because of the...
Oh, it's...
Yeah, I think this is hooked on a Ken... Yeah, this is the first one. I need to find a kit for 2. So 2 is interesting in that... so down here, you've got this flash cart. This is common to 573s. 2, I think, has like an adapter to... Or it actually uses 2 or something like... I don't remember. It's really weird, and as a result, it hasn't been properly cracked yet. So, I do want to try and get a PunchMania 2 kit sometime, just because it's something very special. You can't really play any other way. But anyway, it's neat, and I can, obviously this is all a legit kit for the 573, which is neat. So let's take a look at the goodies. We've got manual, it's torn to shit. Throw that back inside, but it looks like we've got some extra motors, is it? I found the motors on, I think on DigiKey. No, these aren't motors, these are...
They look almost like potentiometers.
No, they are potentiometers, but I don't recognize them. Maybe? Did they use different hardware in this, maybe? Possible.
But it's good that you got a few
spares.
spares.
That would make sense. No, yeah, this definitely looks different than the ones in the Korean cabs. Assuming that these are the potentiometers. So that's interesting. And yeah, we've got spares, so that's good. I think if that's the case, and I just replace the pads, then we're good. But yeah, man, this is just overall, it's a better built cab for sure. I don't remember what this cost me, but it wasn't super cheap, I think. Yeah, and no smell of mildew on the inside. So this wasn't in like a lot of old cabs have been like that. I think the Anime Champ we got was like that, and obviously everything that we got out of that Taiwan container was. But this one, pretty good, pretty solid. It's definitely rare to find something like this. So I'm just happy to be able to have this back in my inventory again after the condition of the other one. All right, let's take a look at that coin counter, and we will call it on the video. Let's see here. Coin counter. Oh, also this has, I rarely ever see these keys, but it has one of these interesting, I don't even know what to call them. They're really cool. I think they'd be more like a safe box kind of key, which is, weird in its own, but... So just a power cable there, and our coin counter is at 24,679. It's all right. But yeah. Well, the fact that it was in free play means the RTC battery's good still, which is nice. Don't have to deal with that. But,
changing any of that.
I guess that's it for this video. Just really glad that I'll be able to bring this out. And I think I'll leave it there. I might, if I do a follow-up, I'll do a separate video on the Korean cab. Maybe what I'll do is I'll talk about it as we put it back together or something. Anyway, that's it for PunchMania. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to move on to the more punchy game after this, and we'll see you in the next time.